What's up, everybody? I hope you're having a great day today. Today, we're going to be talking about Ulta Beauty. We're going to be talking about how they have a high five setup and what I'm thinking about doing for a trade. So, if you don't know about the high five setup, it's my proven trading strategy. It consists of having a chart pattern with a breakout. It consists also of having a volume shelf with a volume gap of some sort. The other three indicators that go into the high five setup are going to be your MACD, your RSI, and your trend. So let's look at Ulta and see what the charts are telling us. So as we can see, we have perfectly drawn here a symmetrical triangle pattern. And basically with a symmetrical triangle pattern, it comes in here, bounces back and forth off each other, and eventually gets in here and gets really tight. And then it's either going to push down or it's going to push up. I always click these things and they never go. So it's either going to push down or push up, right? We don't know until it breaks out. All we know now is we have a volume shelf. But let's try to understand which way the probabilities are pointing to this name going. And it wouldn't be a high five setup unless we were talking about it pushing to the upside. If we were talking about pushing to the downside, it'd be a low five setup, right? So it is a high five setup. We are talking about this name pushing to the upside. It is bottomed out here at about $319, and this is a dating back to 2021. It was 2022. It was at these lows, so got crazy low. Has had a nice bounce back, especially with Warren Buffett buying into this name and Berkshire Hathaway. But anyways, so we do not have a breakout yet. So I will not be entering this trade until we get that breakout. But I like to be early to the party. I like to have these names on my watch list, and I like to really understand, hey, where are we potentially going? And basically get my buy orders in, get my trade set up, get my plan ready, right? Just like anything. Anytime you go on a vacation, right? You're not just gonna go. Well, sometimes people will go and just wing it, right? But the majority of people out there, they want to have a nice plan. They want to plan out their vacation. They want to plan out the events. They want to get tickets for things. You got to plan out your flights, your hotels, your restaurants, all that stuff, or you'll miss out, especially on the restaurants. I've been there before. Not planning out, reservations for restaurants. Yeah, you're gonna miss out on the really good restaurants like we did in Edinburgh and Scotland, which sucked, but we'll go back. It's okay, but um you got to plan this stuff out, and if you want to plan it out, you got to be ahead of the curve. You can't be getting in this like an upstart today. So someone hit me up yesterday and was talking about upstart last night, but I was so busy with my positions and everything, and I told them, I DM'd them back, I was like, hey, I really appreciate that, good luck on that trade. Earnings are after hours today. I've not prepared myself for that name, so why would I enter it? You see what I'm saying? And yes, it went up big, but what if I would have entered it without having a system and a trade set up and a plan, and then it fell big? I would have exited immediately instead of maybe it's not going to continue down, or the my strategy is still good, right? So it's always important. If you want to be a profitable trader, you need to be ahead of the curve, one, and two, plan out your trades and stick with it. And obviously stick with your strategy. So enough of that. We do not have a breakout yet. So it is not it is a high five, but it's not a confirmation high five. So we do not have a breakout yet. So we will wait for that. But like I said, I wanted to get in here early and let people know so they can add it to their watch list. What we do have though is a volume gap of about an 15 to 18% move right here with this nice big Eiffel Tower volume shelf with a nice gap up and then another nice gap up here, right, to getting back to all-time highs. So we have that going for us. And then if we move on over here to our indicators, we bottomed out here. And now we are uptrending, right, to the high side. MACD bullish, blue over orange. We also bottomed out down here, right, had that one last spike down. Now we are consistently making higher highs to the upside. That's ugly. Higher highs to the upside. And then we also came up because we've been running in this name, Now we had a pullback, and now what have we done? We've crossed red over yellow, which is bullish on our trend again. We are still in the sweet spot and still have all this room up here to run, and then we can go sideways while the stock goes up. So we have the recipe for a great trade. We are just missing one key component, and that is the breakout. Like I said, once we get the breakout, that will be the indicator to get into this trade. Now, where shall we be looking to enter into this trade before I get into Williams R? We should be looking to get into this trade at when we break these peaks right here. Call them the twin peaks, right? Like the restaurant. When we break these twin peaks, these two wicks right here, essentially at 409.59 and 412. So I'll call it 413 on the dollar. When we get 413 on the dollar to break those, that is the time to enter the trade. Let's see. 413 on the dollar. We're not going to get it right on the dollar, guys. 413. And then I would say, our 9 EMA and our 21 EMA should be up there at that point, right? So we'll call it just a stop loss below that, an entry at 413, like I said. And our first profit target is going to be right here at 440, let's call it 448. First profit target is right here at 448. And then our second profit target we can find here with another gap fill at, let's say, 525. And yes, you're seeing how I find my profit target spots with the volume gap fills. You can even go down to the daily chart and maybe look for some price gaps. Oh, look at that. You could sit here and say, okay, 525. Do I want to do 525 or do I just want to hit this gap fill right here? This gap fill right here is where we should be going. So essentially you have this volume gap on the volume profile, and then you also have a price gap. And when you have that, you're going to, whenever we do get up here and we break this, we're going to move very rapidly to this to fill that gap. So I would honestly say, what's a couple bucks? I'm just going to move this down to here. And with a volume gap of some sort, I always do it a little lower. So the low on this was 516.46. So I'm just going to call it 516. I'm going to throw out the extra 46 cents. I don't care. I don't want Wall Street or somebody to say, like, they know about all this stuff, guys. They know about all of it. So you always need to be a little bit different and a little bit, quirky with your price targets. Okay. Unless you're unless it's a measured move or something like that, always try to, skim back a little bit and take the win, and don't miss out on a win, basically. So we have this volume gap fill. I move that down. So we have those two price targets, right? And now what we also need to do is we need to measure our move on our symmetrical triangle. So essentially, it's going to be, you measure it like that, right? And then you see how many bars. You don't look at the percentage because the percentage is always going to be different, right? So you look at the bars. So 10,277. So we could say to the upside, a break. Let's just call a break right there at 413, whatever. 10,000. I already forgot what it was. But look at that. 10,000, whatever. Basically, it lines up with our volume gap. So whenever I have something, it lines up with our volume gap and price gap. If I measure a move and it's right around where I already drew some nice resistance or a price target, then I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to put another price target right here and bunch it all up. I'm good, right? So we're waiting for a breakout on this name, and then essentially we have a price target at 448, like I said, which is about a little over 8% gain from where we're at now. Or sorry, 8% gain from once we hit 413. And then our second profit target is going to be almost 25%. So we'll enter in at 413. and then we'll look to take 1/3 or half the position out at 448, and then hold the rest for the push to 516. Now, you always need to take into consideration when we're looking at a weekly chart, you are going to have, sometimes it takes a little longer, right? So you take a measured move. So let's just take the measured move. Let's just say it takes, actually, the way the markets are going, as long as this company doesn't have, abysmal earnings, which did they already report? No, they're about to report. They report in December. So in a month. So let's just call it on their earnings. That's whenever things are getting better, rosier, and people aren't as, scared about this name anymore, and it pops. So we have 188 days. We copy paste that over here, and we get our date of mid-year 2025. Mid-year 2025 for our measured move up to $516. So that's what we're looking for there. But a shorter term price target, like I said, is going to be that 448. And then once we get this break and get to 413, we should be able to get there pretty easily and probably half the time. So we're talking like beginning of next year. So a good little swing trade, kind of a little, I would call it more of a swing trade. It's going to be 3 months or less, in my prediction would be. But like I said, we got to get this breakout, and you got to understand going into earnings that, anything can happen. So if we do get the breakout before earnings and we do run up close to this, I would probably take some profits off the table just in case earnings, flashes down, and then just set your stop loss at your entry price at 413. And that way you're good. So that was Ulta. Stay tuned. I'm gonna do Meta and Intuit, Chewy, and Coinbase for the next 4 lined up here. So stay tuned, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.